Well, hello. It's been a hectic month for me. I've moved into a home. It's probably been one of, if not the most stressful months of my life. And I'm going to blame you guys because thanks to you, I was able to purchase a home. And that boils down to being all of your fault. I had this idea to do for a video essay and I recorded it 2 days ago. I started editing that video and I hated it. I'm going to revisit that topic. It had to do with RuneLite and the plugins and all the discussion around that recently. I got a deadline. I figured, you know what? I've talked about the Summer Summit before. I didn't get to watch the Summer Summit. It happened a week ago. I have no idea what's going on in the RuneScape space right now because I have just not looked at anything. I haven't had the chance to. Maybe some of you haven't either. So what if we just sat down together, we watched the Summer Summit, and we talk about it. They've got to have something good in there. So, you know, I rented out this Adobe stock movie theater and we've got it all to ourselves. It's just us. So let's see what's going on in the world of old school RuneScape. And speaking of deadlines, today's sponsor. This video's brought to you by War Thunder, the most comprehensible war game ever created. More than 2,000 tanks and ships, helicopters, dynamic combined arms, so much war, all the war you can ever want. Every vehicle is completely customizable. Every model, down to their individual components. All of it's customizable. All of it. Play free right now on PC, Xbox, Series X, PS5, previous generation consoles, all War Thunder approved. 100 years worth of vehicles in War Thunder. From World War II stuff all the way to right now stuff. The damage mechanics are crazy. One bullet can cause an oil leak, but we won't be getting hit by a bullet. You don't need a big steering wheel or nothing. Just mouse and keyboard. That's it. You could be a pilot. You could be a captain of a ship. All the war positions. Personally, I love the graphics. Things look great from up here. Go ahead and play War Thunder for free right now using the link in the description. We can all be on one of these together. We can all hang out on the wings of one of these. When you register, you can get a free bonus pack. Got premium vehicles and premium account boosts and a lot more in there too. Also, download it. Try it out. My link. Thank you to War Thunder for sponsoring today's video. 2 hours and 5 minutes? All right, I guess we're gonna watch this for the next 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Oldschool Summer Summit.
Okay, these guys look good. They can't look better than me in my own video. I'm not gonna let that happen. I gotta run to the store real quick, 1 sec. Sorry about the delay, gentlemen. As you were saying.
We've got a variety of different members of the team who are going to be coming on to answer your questions.
I just thought of something. I always forget. These are always live streamed. Here we go. Now we're really watching.
Look at the shape of our roadmap at the very least.
Ooh.
Aha! I hope this holds all of you over for a while. We've got 9 things to look forward to. No less, no more. There's probably going to be a few more things added to this. Some may even be taken away. Maybe we'll get 6 things.
This year has been extraordinary for Old School RuneScape, with some of the best
Hold on.
content.
What have we had this year? What's come out this year? We've had Forestry, Desert Treasure 2. I've got to be missing something. When did TOA come out? Do you remember? Say it out loud to me. Yeah, that's what I thought. What have we had this year? Wilderness Boss rework. I guess that was a pretty big one. Oh, Bounty Hunter. Bounty Hunter came out. I don't know if people are still playing that. I don't know. We got new hairstyles. That's cool. And we got Forestry. I wasn't too far off. I wouldn't say extraordinary is the word. I'd say normal. I'd probably use the word normal. I don't know when the last extraordinary old school RuneScape year was. Maybe when Bandos came out. When all of God War's Dungeon got put out, that was extraordinary. When Monkey Madness 2 got put into the game as the first additional quest, that was extraordinary. You gotta understand the weight of the word extraordinary. When Old School launched, that was extraordinary. When Barack Obama became the first black president, that's extraordinary. This year wasn't extraordinary is what I'm trying to say.
Which brings us next to Deadman Apocalypse. Coming your way in less than a week.
It's here.
It's going to set
It's been a week.
Gillinor ablaze.
This is why I wanted to enable the chat, dude. They're so funny. Like, it's just fun. Like, I don't know who these people are, dude. None of these dudes are watching this video right now. Like, none of you are these people. The few times I've been on the Old School Runescape stream, I have always kept it in the back of my mind, like, what are these dickheads thinking right now? I always look back at the chat because they're the most unpredictable, wild, rowdy bunch just jammed into one fucking classroom, and it's right here. Just no rules, pure chaos. They're very mysterious. The Old School Runescape stream chat is very mysterious. I say as Ditter Bitter is in this cluster of people. Who are these people? These rowdy misfits just hanging out in here. I didn't know Ditter Bitter was right there. Sorry, Ditter. I guess it's on brand.
Now, another important thing to get out of the way, it's plushie giveaway time.
I've got a bone to pick about this. Just a little one. These plushies. Let me talk about these plushies. Settled, Kevin, Sea Engineer, all had plushies, and all of them were widely successful. Great plushies, fantastic idea, just an all-around good old time. I was next. I was the next plushie, and then we get an update. Because of how successful these are, somebody at Jagex realized, wait, why aren't we doing this? We can be making this money. They're playing our video game, so they changed their intellectual property rights. Now, if I want to make a plushie, they're taking a lot of the profit from it. Not that profit is the biggest goal here. It's about 90% of the goal. Plushies are out of the question. You know, I hope they are successful, Jagex. I hope these plushies do well for you. I hope they're flying off the shelves. I'm sure the success of these plushies equals pay raises for the devs that work hard. I'm sure all of them are getting pay raises because of this grand idea to change intellectual property and stop content creators from making money. But get your plushies, everyone. Go ahead. Get your gnome child, wise old man, Neve, Bob the fucking cat, add them to your collection.
I really hope that we get to spend some time in the future as well, exploring what more we can do with Bounty Hunter, new rewards, maybe different types of creator modes.
Everyone's already forgotten about Bounty Hunter. I don't even know if PK video makers are still doing Bounty Hunter. I think that was like a one-off video for PKers. They're like 3-4 years late on fixing Bounty Hunter. It was a little late to the party there.
One thing we definitely probably should touch on as well is the fact that many of you obviously were looking forward to new prayers, for example. We know they didn't make it into the game in the end.
Thank God we didn't get new things. Nothing new, please.
Brand new quest, 4 new bosses, loads of new areas to explore. Was maybe a little bit too much to just bundle in prayers.
Hire more people. Hire like 3 more guys. A lot of people forget that the content that we do the absolute most of in this game, like early to mid game content, was made by 3 people. You've got a lot of money, Jagex. Just hire an extra guy or 2 and make more things. I think there's just a lot of pressure to do right by all players, which you'll never do. Look at this guy. New prayers would ruin the game. How? How would they ruin the game? What would they do? Guy. All right, what do we got?
My name's Seb, also known as Mod Mank these days. In 2017, I won Deadman mode. In 2018, I won All Stars. And in 2019, we also won another Deadman mode, which was great. I now work at Jagex as
Fucking
a
legend.
junior content developer.
What a hire. That's like #1 draft pick for a Jagex moderator, dude. What a fucking steal. The lottery winner of moderators to hire. Holy shit. Here's everything the game's ever thrown at me, and here's all the #1 gold medals that I've also accumulated with those events.
And the important thing here is to make sure the dev team and the community are on the same page.
That's impossible. Spoiler.
In the future, we're hoping to transition accounts to World 45, if the community wants it.
Manked, you decide if the players want it, okay? You're gonna listen to these guys? These dudes are who you want to listen to, whether they want it or not?
Because there is PvP almost everywhere, you'd think that PKs are the main priority for Deadman. However, there's a lot of players who like to play for the pure aspect of survival, the pure thrill of running around in-game doing...
They're making him say that. He doesn't believe that whatsoever.
In Deadman Apocalypse, there will be events happening twice a day where we will be spawning a whole multitude of bosses, such as General Grador.
Now, this I'm going to take credit for. It's definitely important to come up with an incentive for players who would never touch a DMM server to try it out. Deadman mode server would be a perfect place to experiment. Pest control creatures have figured out how to get out of pest control, and they start invading Catherby, and you have to take care of them. You know, I think I actually may be onto something there. Write that down. We really do forget that this is a video game sometimes. Historically, video games have been fun, so why not sprinkle some of that in here? you know?
Fortunately, on the third death, it was just far too punishing. So again, we want this Dead Man Apocalypse to be extremely fun and enjoyable and not too punishing. So you can play more casually and not feel like you're really far behind, and if you die, everything's lost.
Dead Man mode just has so many contradictions as they're trying to appeal to more players. That thrill that you were just talking about with survivability. If you don't care to survive, then the last point you made is completely out the window. Dead Man mode is probably the most difficult thing that Old School has ever introduced to appeal to the masses.
In previous Dead Man events, we had a 1v1 finale. For this one, we are changing things up a bit. We are going to have multiple finales going on at the same time, essentially. We are going to have multiple worlds that anyone who's participated in Dead Man can join. So you'll be constantly fighting people to the death while this is going on. And then we're going to throw General Grado at you again. We are embracing the chaos for this. This is not a hardcore taunt. This is a fun explosion.
Take it away, Ian.
Needs to hit a VLS spec big. 17 gets his one back. Off prayer. This could kill Manx when it registers any second now. 17, he's alive.
This is going to be a disaster. I can't wait.
How excited should players be for Dead Man Apocalypse?
I would love if you just been like, not too excited. Don't get your hopes up for this one. Just stay on the main servers for this one. Just wait a few months. We'll have leagues. Just don't bother. It's been rough on the team.
So if you're feeling, a little bit lonely, maybe you want a nice little waifu to stay with you and have a nice little sleep, you can give her a little cuddle.
Oh yeah, someone's gonna cut a hole in that Neve.
Hello everyone, this is Poison Potion, or PP for short, and I'll be filling you in on some of the smaller updates to Old School Runescape within the next few months.
Chambers of Zenith.
As we all know, Chambers is the only randomly generated raid, which to some people may be more enjoyable, but for others they prefer to have a bit more control in their encounters, which is why the team is hoping to implement a solution. One proposal could be using tokens that could potentially alter layouts to your liking. These tokens could be obtained at the end of the raid or purchased for GP outside of the raid. Jagex wants to provide a scaling system at Chambers. This would allow players to make a raid more difficult without having to use multiple alt accounts before starting.
Yes!
Moving on to the final forestry launch. Now it's time to talk about gameplay for all of you noobs out there. Jagex is hoping to flesh out mid-level content a bit more in the near future, and that's why in winter 2023 they'd like to release an encounter that helps introduce players to the fundamentals of combat.
Good.
Going from simpler content such as Bryophyta, Barrows, and Sarachnis to content like Zulrah, Raids, and Nex can be a bit jarring for new players. Ideally, this update will introduce a boss that is a bit more mechanically intensive, but will still be viable for players on their journey to max combat.
This is a great idea. Here's how you make it a better idea. I'll be honest, the last few months I've spent playing different MMOs. Way too much World of Warcraft. I've tried Elder Scrolls Online, absolutely addicted to Star Wars The Old Republic. I used to play New World back in the day. All of those games have bosses that you can do as early as 2 hours into the game. Every single one has dungeons you can do with other players as a mid-level character. There are world bosses. The Wilderness used to have them. They were technically world bosses. A really high-level monster that you can stumble into in some obscure area, maybe off a path a little bit. It'd be like Callisto used to be in that little area over there, and if you walk too close, you would get aggroed. They'd have crazy attacks on you. Maybe there's a world boss system, like these raid tokens that you guys were proposing. It's a community thing, a community building thing. A bunch of level 55s to 75s can join up forces and potentially get some gear upgrades of some sort. Untradeable drops. It's pretty wild that Old School doesn't have anything like that for mid-level content. Ability to get upgrades you can do by doing fun content. There's many layers to that I have not written out to have organized thoughts about. The other thing is mid-level dungeons / raids. Why is it that in Goblin Village, there's not a hole in that little shed in the middle of Goblin Village, and you go down and suddenly you start the first dungeon available to players. In different floors, you have to make your way through all the mobs and get to the bottom, and you finally get to a big goblin boss, a fucking descendant of Bandos who's just chilling underneath Goblin Village for a century, and you've stumbled upon him after just destroying 58 goblins before you got to him. Dungeons. Why do we not have dungeons? We just have raids. 3 raids that have taken goddamn 7 years to make. Why don't we have dungeons? Not everything has to be this giant spectacle of a raid, because not everyone can even do it. And it would take way less time to make, and they would be rewarding. Why is there not something between Myth and Adamant that you can get that's untradeable from a dungeon boss? How easy would that be to create something that's in between those two armor sets that is only obtainable through a dungeon boss that you should probably be taking on with a group of 5 at level 25 to 30. I don't know if this is like crazy. Is this crazy talk? You guys tell me. I don't know if I'm just being way too ambitious here, if it's a lot more complicated than that, but I feel like it's really fucking not. It's not that complicated in my brain of why something like that shouldn't exist. I'm excited to see what they come up with. This is a very good step. This should be a huge focus if you want to maintain your casual player base over long term, especially group Ironmen. I'm sure they have statistics of how many players actually get past that level like 75 to 90 range. It's probably not a lot. There's probably not a lot that even get to that. So this would create so much more content for even groups of friends to go and complete together, going from Moss Giant Boss to Chambers of Xeric. A little bit of a gap there in both levels, skill, and time. The amount of time it takes you to be ready to do something like Chambers of Xeric is a little crazy.
And we are now joined by the absolutely handsome Mod Sween.
I'll put the picture up right now. Every time I see Mod Sween, I think of when I got the Golden Gnome at RuneFest 2019, and I'm making my speech and Mod Sween is right behind me, fucking looking like a stern father that's kind of disappointed in me or waiting for me to fuck up or something. It's always like the funniest thing to look back on because of just how he's looking behind me. I love Mod Sween, dude.
We're going to ask you questions that might offer content that you may not like, and it is your role and duty to tell us if you don't like them. It's then down to us to make sure that we don't put them out to you when it comes to the polls. And that's exactly what we tried to do with Forestry. I just wanted to make sure I addressed it. I saw a few people mentioning it in the chat. We can carry on with the rest of the questions now.
Mentioned it earlier, but the fact that he's noticed people saying something in chat means that he is in fact looking at chat while doing this. And this is live. Not a lot of people have had the opportunity to see themselves on a Twitch stream where thousands of people are watching, knowing that every little thing you do, movement you make, someone's going to point out. People do it on my videos, but in Twitch chat, since you know everyone is also there, these guys are a lot more inclined to say what they want to say to try and get everybody else riled up. The fact that Aiza can maintain his composure and get through this without either getting so upset that he throws that fucking iPad into one of those TVs behind him, or just storms off, or just starts just shaking, lips quivering, is amazing. The skill that it takes to just remain calm and continue talking about what he needs to talk about is incredible. Good work.
Path of Glyphery, why are we bringing it back?
So last year sometime there was a big survey about kind of quest porting, bringing quests from RuneScape 3 but with an old school twist, and Path of Glyphery was one of the most popular choices, so we went for it. I think some people will have picked up on what it might mean longer term, but some people need a less subtle hint. If you look at what the quest unlocks in RS3, the other quests that come after it, maybe there's some exciting stuff ahead.
RuneScape 3 quests are really good. Quests are what they have going for them, in my opinion. As a longtime old school player, trying out RuneScape 3 when I did, the biggest problem with integrating RuneScape 3 quests is being consistent with lore and canon of old school, as well as just not making it so scrambled. The way that the whole timeline works over there, I think, is the biggest flaw in the RuneScape space. The fact that so much content exists that no longer matters, kind of confusing for players, including myself. I have genuine interest in the lore around RuneScape in both universes, and I find it incredibly confusing going into RuneScape 3 and trying to ingest it all. It's really difficult. I hope they do start integrating more things. As long as they just keep it simple, they've done a lot of things right. Talk to some RuneScape 3 devs, figure it out.
And talk about Chambers scouting. We're finally allowing players to determine the raid layout themselves.
We know what we're trying to solve. In terms of how we actually do it, that's probably where players should tell us.
We are in the third quarter of 2023, and you still can't do anything about Chambers of Xeric rooms. I'm not even gonna celebrate the fact that this is happening. This is like when you have a homework assignment that was due 2 months ago and you finally bring it in, the teacher's gonna be like, Jesus Christ, I can't give you full credit for this. When I first got into PVM and tried Chambers, the scouting was by far the biggest thing that made me say, I've done enough, I've seen it, I don't want to grind it anymore. Why did they not fix this? Once they started seeing players do the content frequently and saw that scouting was even a thing that players had to do, why was it not addressed? Why did it take this much? This isn't a celebrated announcement for me. Maybe I'll go back to Chambers to celebrate. Maybe I'll try Chambers again.
We give you some level of customization, but we don't totally let you, ruin the magic of Chambers. The variety is great. It's the only kind of raid like that where it could be multiple different layouts in different orders.
It's not great.
But if we really think about the content, it's weird that you have to use alt accounts to scale with.
The scaling system, I mean, obviously a little weird. You're right. It was a little weird that you needed multiple accounts to scale it. When you have 3 players doing Chambers and one of them disconnects, their internet goes out, they plug it back in, they come on, and they don't log on to the same world as you. And when they try and come back, they can't get into your raid anymore. The player was not assigned to this instance, or they were removed from it. Even if you're 45 minutes into this scaled raid that you have, it is now a 2-man scaled for 3. So they need to either fix it so that the scaling can adjust to how many players are in the instance, or they need to have it so a player can rejoin their raid if they disconnect and connect to a different world by accident. Please fix things like that, because that actually ruined my Chambers experience multiple times when we lost members who had to either go or their internet went out, something happened, and suddenly you've wasted so much time. Look, I know people think I hate this game. I don't. I care about it so fucking much, which is why I get so heated about these things. I want nothing more than the game to prosper and go the right direction. Everything I have ever said, it's always been with the thought of, I want this game to be the best version of itself possible and to appeal to as many players, both existing and new. Do everything in their power to have fun creating the game, have the existing content that people have worked so hard on in the past and have participated in so much be polished. It's taken a really long time to visit content that definitely needed priority. The fact that it's taken this long and it's become a spectacle of the Summer Summit to talk about is pretty weird. That's the weird part of Chambers, is how long it's taken. I do like 1 complaining session a year. I'm allowed 1. I don't hate the game.
The order of announcements here is interesting because we've gone straight to the mid-level. People are like, who cares about that? But maybe stay tuned and here's something cooler, ready for you. But for other players,
a lot of people
how do they get into endgame PVM? We really do like making endgame stuff, but we have to think about accessibility and people getting into the content. Move more players from being silly little noobs who don't know how to kill stuff. They can go and do raids, they can go and do the D2 bosses, they can go and do TOB, they can go and do that kind of content. This isn't about us just trying to dump a ton of content on noobs and call it a day. It's about us trying to get as many noobs to the end game as possible. So then we can really make more end game content and give players more challenges.
As I say, the more players we have at that level, then the more demand there is for that content as well. And we obviously know there's a demand there, but at the end of the day, we have to make sure that we're serving the entire community at the same time. So
we do want to make players better so we can release harder content more often, more regularly.
It's not even a matter of getting them into endgame content, preparing them for the mechanics. It's making them care about getting into it. You can create an incentive to care, to get to these endgame things by different motivation other than just rewards at the end. You can build it up by building the world's lore with dungeons and world bosses and different quests surrounding them. Not even quests, they could be mini quests or mini games that can be integrated. You can build the world of Old School to feel more alive and connected by putting content into the game. It doesn't have to be questing. There are so many avenues that you can go down to introduce a story, character, world bosses, and dungeons in particular. Huge opportunity.
All this stuff's going to let us teach you, starting to switch your prayers, starting to change your gear and respond to things in the fight, move around appropriately, get your reaction times to be better. All this stuff, hopefully, we will start to bridge that gap and make a big difference.
One of the hardest things to introduce a new player to has to be gear switching, because it's a very unique mechanic to Old School. A lot of new players are going to be used to a class system. They're a hunter or a mage, and they only use their respective combat style, and it doesn't really have an impact on any NPC they're fighting. Whereas in RuneScape, there is no class system. You have to be good at everything. You need to bring gear for a hunter or a mage or a warrior. You are all of the above. You have to be equipped to be all of the above. That is a very RuneScape thing. Definitely going to be a priority for this mid-level content is to slowly introduce that. I don't really know how. There's players far more knowledgeable when it comes to gear switching to come up with a solution for that. I'm sure one of you has the solution that you're going to comment about. Gear switching is intimidating. What do we got? Why are they so scared? Who are these people? League moment, am I right? Is that Trailblaziness? Ah, Leagues 4. Trailblazer Reloaded. Winter 2023.
It's the one you've been waiting for. Leagues is back.
The second edition of ripping Kevin's Gridlock series off. Very happy to see that coming back. By far, the best League they've ever had. I knew the big announcements before coming into this video, but I have listened to nothing about it so far. So the first Trailblazer, it was great. You had to make a choice and then you had to stick with it. When you committed, you committed. If you picked the wrong thing, sorry, make the most of it. I think there's something special about making that decision and then dealing with the implications of that decision. I remember for Trailblazers specifically, it was Last Recall. I didn't choose Last Recall. I remember I listened to Kevin's advice on day one to pick like a jewelry one instead. And then it turned out that me and him just had this huge disadvantage to everybody else, the entire league. Opening up a whole new area felt like such a big achievement. Trailblazer in my head was just great. It was a great time. It's great memories in my brain.
With Leagues 4, Trailblazer Reloaded. The return of Trailblazer is something that's been hotly requested pretty much since the day it ended.
I see so many people doing that sleeper emote. This is what I'm talking about. Who are these people? You know, who are these people? Who thinks this is boring?
Take the desert, for example. Only fools picked that area last time. But now we have Temporos, Tombs of Masca, and Desert Treasure 2. Those additions alone completely changed the meta, and that's just one area.
So development's only recently started, but I can already say the biggest challenge that I've personally gone through at the moment is the task list. The task list is absolutely massive now. I think we're almost like 1,600 tasks.
Wow. This is just a story. It has nothing to do with this. For Shattered Relics, I made the little skit that me, Settled, Kevin, and Nine Rain did. When they had asked me to do that project, I just asked them for as many assets as they were able to give me, as much information as they could give me, whatever I absolutely need to know. They sent me this document. It was like a Google Sheet, just how the relic combinations worked. And they didn't realize the next sheet over in the same file was a list of every single possible task. Finished task list. I literally had every task at my disposal, and being the good guy I was, no one got to see the task list early. This was like a month before it came out. If I was some sweaty tryhard player, I would have just had the greatest game plan of all time ready. But luckily, I didn't really care that much. I just made a funny video and moved along with my day. I'm a good guy.
Obviously, the poll system requires a lot of back and forth in terms of like what do we think will actually settle in the game like properly and be exactly what the players want. But with the relics, we don't have to care about game balance. We don't have to care if it like breaks a bunch of metas or anything like that. So you can kind of let loose a bit more, be really creative in that regards. So yeah, that's actually—
You get to have fun.
So it's our one chance to just do whatever the hell we want and just see what happens. It's honestly the best time ever. And I understand
they get to be game devs when they work on leagues. It's amazing.
Without further ado, probably the biggest announcement that we could be making to date is coming to you right now, and then we'll be joined by the wonderful Mod Ed. So stay tuned, enjoy the video, and we'll see you in a moment.
EOC! People are so ridiculous, dude.
The world of Gielinor stretches far and wide, from the darkness of Mauritania to the crystal city of Prifinus. And in your journey through this world, you've almost visited every corner of it. But next year, the sun will rise over a new land. So pack your bags and prepare to travel westward, because this is Oldschool's next big area expansion. This is Valamor. Generations ago, Xerxes made a strike threatened to bring about the ruin of Great Koren. After years of preparation, Queen Ziani Arkan is finally ready to open the borders to her kingdom. Your journey to Valamor is about to begin. And when we say big area expansion, we mean it. We have new bosses, new skilling activities, and of course, new quests. There's so much to this new area, to the point where it's going to be far more than just a single game update. You can expect multiple batches of Valamor, starting in the south.
This is their first real chance to introduce phases. Each phase of an expansion would have quests, dungeons, raids that would progress a story and put out updates over time. So you're not just pushing one big giant thing out all at once to try and tell this incredible, fascinating story. You get to introduce it segment by segment. So the devs have time to perfect things, see how players are reacting to certain content that might be new. A really good formula to follow when you're doing something like an expansion of a big MMO world. I don't know what they have in store, but if they want to do it in a brand new way that would be new to devs and new to the writers, this might be the way to do it. Might be worth considering doing this in phases. I think it's a good recipe to give everyone a healthy amount of content at a time. What I'm really kind of hoping for, I know some people get mad at me when I say this, I hope a large part of Varlamore doesn't really touch the polls. I really want them to just fucking give us content that we don't know anything about, that we get to go in and experience and learn without any idea of what it might be. Getting asked the details about rewards and what the monsters should look like or what the clothes should be before it even comes out, it doesn't feel like any sort of excitement is there when you go and do it. You know exactly what the rewards are going to be and what they're going to do, and it just takes this mystery and wonder out of the story that's being told, and this doesn't feel like a video game anymore. It feels like this class project that we've all worked on together, and I don't want that out of a game update. I think it plays a huge role in why I'm not excited for shit in this game anymore when it comes out, is because it's just been fucking fledged out by everyone complaining, and then I know exactly what the rewards are going to be, and I know exactly how much XP per hour it's going to be. It takes the excitement out of the content that the devs are able to make. They've had their training. Let's fucking test them, all right? Let's test them. Give them Varlamore. Let's see what they can do, all right? This is our test to them. And if they fuck it up, then never again. And never again will I suggest it. Brand new opportunity, whole new area, all new quests, NPCs, raids, dungeons, whatever they decide to do. Let their creativity fly. That's my take on it. Probably in my dreams. But, you know, that's what I have to say about that.
In the capital, you'll find the imposing Fortis Colosseum, where you can prove your worth in a brand new fight cave style combat encounter. Once you're done there, why not head out into the savannah and join up with a renowned hunter guild? This first batch will also bring you 2 new quests. That's just a small idea of what to expect in our first batch of Varlamore, and you can look forward to plenty more both within that.
I think I just saw someone say RIP Jimmy in the chat. I'm excited about it though. If I end up finishing by release before this, by the way, this could be like a by-release mini-series of Varlamore. Like a long episode where it's just the whole storyline kind of thing, depending on how long they are, of course. I love seeing Mod Ed come on because you just know that shit's about to get serious, like big stuff's coming.
So why now?
Well, why not, really?
Thank you. Good answer.
We've grown the team to a point where we can really do it justice. I think that was a really important thing here, that we don't want it to go quite how the Karen launch did. We want to make sure we're delivering this huge area with all these amazing things to do in it, and that it really should, fingers crossed if all goes well, this should really feel like exploring the game all over again. What is old school? Like, nostalgia is obviously a huge part of it, and it feels very weird to be talking about nostalgia with a brand new area expansion, like something that's completely not old school in the slightest.
And I agree with that. I think there's definitely opportunity there to have this feeling of mystery and exploration and wonder about RuneScape again. I think it's very achievable. Give people something to explore and discover along the way of this brand new area. Something that gives players incentive to see every little area that you create. Make it fun to discover again.
We've got the huge capital city of Civitas Illiforte. It's going to be so exciting to explore that city. But then all the area around it as well. We've got the Avium Savannah, the Hunter Guild, we've got Rals's Rise. This is obviously just the surface as well.
This is a complete spitball. Someone in the chat just said, I can't wait to create my Varlamore only Iron Man, and it sparked this idea. What if they did create a Varlamore only Iron Man? Like a new type of character in RuneScape. You're on Tutorial Island, and you get to the very end where the Iron Man tutor and the mage are, but there's also another NPC there, brand new one. They're all dressed up in a fancy suit, a red royal getup. Turns out that they're a Varlamore emissary, and they're there recruiting someone who is looking for a brand new fresh start, who wants to devote their life to royalty in promise of big rewards. And a player accepts this. They get on a boat, and they've been transported to the main city of Varlamore. When you arrive to Varlamore as a new recruit, you start at the very bottom, and you are suddenly getting exclusive quests built around your storyline as a Varlamore recruit. Only available to you. Regular accounts can't do these quests or experience the storyline because it's only for Varlamore locked accounts. You start doing these very mundane tasks for sergeants, eventually lead up into you becoming a trusted diplomat to Kourend. And now you've got to start doing a quest line over there that's built just for you. It's just seeing this whole new land open up just puts it in my head, this opportunity to create a brand new RuneScape experience that still stays true to RuneScape while also giving players a real coded in account restriction. People obviously love account restrictions. This would give everybody a chance to experience a new way of progressing a brand new account. If you don't want to go through the motions, getting to Waterfall Quest, doing Tree Gnome Village for the 80th time, this presents a new way of creating a new account or an alt account that takes you from level 3 to 75 in just Varlamore and Kourend based on the storyline and different requirements you need to meet to eventually leave Varlamore. A new genre of Iron Man. This is a way for everybody to get a fresh story for the first time with content that they can only do if they make this account type. And I think that would be really fucking cool. You still get to keep that whole you're just a nobody loser adventurer kind of vibe, being treated as like the bottom of the barrel, brand new recruit, getting hazed by the officers, needing to run their errands, doing stupid shit, finding yourself in these extraordinary situations that a hero would be, but you're just this guy that has suddenly found themselves in a position. That same vibe can be introduced through a setting like that. I don't know, that seems like it would be really fun and really cool for a lot of players. I think it might be worth looking into. Perhaps.
The really exciting thing about Varlamore is it gives us the opportunity to tell a story that people have never seen before. When you're exploring new areas, it was all about the quests. Like you go to Ardoin when Ardoin was released. It came with quests. There's all these quests to do and Plague storyline, but then also you just got the weird, little weird and wonderful quests, you got Monk's friend and that sort of thing. It was a really long time to bring Kourend up to that same standard. Arguably, it's still not really there. It's still moving in the right direction, but
I'm glad he agrees with me, because I said that exact same thing on the Ranking Every Story, and people are like, no, Kourend's good now. Hearing it from Ed makes me more confident in what I said about Kourend not feeling complete yet, even though it has some great new additions.
Day 1. We have, as announced earlier, 3 quests on day 1. 2 of those part of a brand new storyline.
While we're on the topic of Kourend and meaningful things, they should make Kourend reputation way more worth it. Other than just, you need this reputation to be at 100 to do this quest. Actual perks, discounts, items that you can now get, even if they're just cosmetic. Reputation could play such a bigger role, especially in Varlamore. What comes to mind actually is Menaphos in RuneScape 3 and how there's different districts inside the city and you have to do certain tasks for NPCs in there, and I think maybe some quests. I didn't get too deep into it, but it was really cool how certain things, certain activities, and certain items were locked behind reputation of each district. It might need some more reworking. Mining a bunch of yellow rocks while taking poison damage isn't exactly the most exhilarating content to gain reputation. Something worth considering. That is a mechanic that could be revisited, I think.
The Forest Coliseum is one I think a lot of people are going to get really excited about. This is something that people have been asking for quite a while. I'm seeing in chat Rip Blue Inferno, but yes, but actually no, is sort of my answer to that.
It's meant to be content that's accessible for everyone, but has that level of higher play available, which kind of nicely leads me on to the question, almost as if it was planned. We have to address the fact that I know so many players, especially within the high level community, have been looking for more aspirational content.
Fuck them.
It's fair to say that there is an itch that maybe hasn't been scratched for a little while for some of our endgame players.
The video I recorded 2 days ago was essentially a rant about this. To the high level community, specifically the PVMers, getting your hopes up about having more challenging things coming to the game than what you already have, don't be hopeful. There is not enough players for Jagex to care enough. If you'd like to ask, I don't know, the PvP community what that feels like, they can tell you all about it. There wasn't a lot of PvPers, so all these problems took 5-6 years to address. It took so long that it actually didn't even matter anymore. And there are less people who can complete a 500 level invocation of TOA than there were PvPers 3 years ago. So I guarantee you, there's not a big chance you'll be satisfied with what they give you, especially if you guys continue to use 1,000 fucking tile markers and plugins that tell you exactly what to pray based off sound cues for deaf people. Turn a plugin off or something. Make a restricted PVM account where you don't use a plugin to tell you exactly where to click. I can't wait for them to release this Coliseum idea and then have the high-level PVMers put 80 different squares around each boss, telling them how to do different butterfly methods and fucking skip phases of bosses, and then them bitch about it a week later about how they never give them anything challenging enough.
And those demi bosses should hopefully then offer like a little bit of a change of pace and maybe an opportunity for people who are sort of like getting into PVM a little bit more to sort of like learn a few new skills.
Dude, this is like every kid at the dinner table with their parents. They're both on their iPads, not paying an ounce of attention to them.
All there is to know about sailing.
Our proposal for Old School's first new skill.
It's non-instanced, traditional MMO exploration at its finest.
I like that.
With an old school RuneScape twist.
Sailing expands the vast world of Gielinor with brand new islands, creatures.
Brand new creatures like Kraken.
This is the first time you'll be able to captain a ship of your very own.
What about Dragon Slayer 1? I bought that ship and fixed it myself. Got fucking destroyed. They added sailing like this because they're saying it's classic MMO exploration. How are they going to stop a player from bypassing the Dragon Slayer 1 building your own boat to get to the island thing and getting your boat destroyed? Will they just make it so you absolutely need to follow it step by step? Or will they be the dopest devs of all time? And if you train sailing before doing Dragon Slayer 1 or before this part, you don't have to do the whole boat part and you can get there yourself. Do a cutscene where you watch Elvarg destroy another player's boat, and that's how you see Elvarg for the first time, but yours is still intact because it's your boat and you know what you're doing and you're sailing. I think that would be really, really cool if they added little things like that. The little attention to detail type things would make this incredible as an integration to Old School.
Let's dive into Old School RuneScape's potential newest skill.
I think it actually just passed a couple days ago. It's coming.
Use Hunter to track down elusive sea monsters. Use Farming to cultivate rare and beautiful corals. Use Fishing to catch exotic fish with the new Trawler Net facility. Use Mining and a special mineral dredge to recover precious minerals from the seabed.
In the future, you can also look forward to ocean raids, player-owned aquariums, treasure hunts, and much, much more. The sailing reward space is truly limitless. There is no
Any reward space is limitless, but you pull everything.
Sailing will introduce a number of new resources, like logs, gems, fish, ore, and fibers. All of this will be discussed and polled with the community if sailing passes the lock-in poll.
I think a lot of this stuff is really cool, but what I'm thinking about, the community and how they'll interact with this. If they do a lot of like POH stuff, if other players can board your ship, no matter who they are, if you are actually able to go to a whole new land with players on your ship, if people will have services of some sort or like boat hosting. Now, don't go to Port Sarum. I'm your captain. Come to me. And you take players like noob players or whoever, role players, taking them to different places in RuneScape. That sounds hilarious. I feel like there's a lot of potential for this to become like a big community thing, making a whole new profession for yourself as a RuneScape player because you got this decked out ship that can take people places.
Construction will be used to build facilities on board ship, meaning that you'll get to show off your building skills outside the player-owned house. Crafting and smithing will let you process various resources into components with which to build these facilities.
The poll of all polls, it includes everything that we've talked
It
about
passed.
today.
Spoiler alert, we're getting
chambers,
sailing.
chambers.
I feel like this sailing thing has been going on for like 2 years. I don't even know when it was first like, yeah, we're gonna add a new skill, sailing, vote for sailing. I feel like that was fucking years ago at this point, dude. This is the slowest process of all time. This is why nothing gets added into this video game. Personally, I didn't vote for sailing. I voted for taming. Would love to see all 3 of those proposed skills eventually become a part of RuneScape. I'm literally always in favor of things being added. Only people upset about skills being added to the game are those who are maxed already, who don't want to max another skill because they've had enough, which most people who are maxed normally never really get enough of RuneScape. I have very mixed thoughts on when it comes out because it's like, I just want this shit to happen already. It feels like it's been drawn out for so long now. These permission slips, just forge my fucking signature or something, dude. I don't want to keep doing this. Just make things. Everyone's in so goddamn deep. They couldn't quit the game for 2 weeks if they tried. If they don't want to do it, they don't have to do it. You're not changing the combat system, you know? It's why their yearly recap was 4 things. All right. There you have it, folks. Summer Summit.
Hey guys, I found a new plane to sit on. Just a little reminder to download War Thunder in the description. Link below. You get a premium pack. It's right there. Just download it. Try it out. You'll love it up here. Download it in the description. War Thunder.
This was very different from what I normally do. Hopefully this doesn't turn out awful. And if it does, well, then I guess we won't do this again. But, you know, maybe it was fun. Good work. You did great sitting there not saying anything. We make a good team. Other than that, thanks for watching. That's all I've got for you today. I didn't want to say this, but now that it's in the end screen, that wasn't a movie theater at all. That wasn't a real movie theater. I have a seat, and it's blue. It got blue tape on it, and I'm vertical right now, by the way. I fooled everybody. Freaking dummies. Pay more attention and keep your third eye open. Realize real lies.